If you are a mother, father, or a future parent and your child comes to you one day with a complaint that he is losing hair, please don't do this to him. Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody, where I'm going to be talking about how mother doesn't believe a son who is 20 years old that he's balding and makes jokes about it, despite the son losing like 300 hairs per day, I assume. And he's showing the lost hair to the mother. And the mother still doesn't believe it, makes jokes about it. Now, why I decided to make a video on this topic? Simply because it happened to me as well, and I believe that I'm not alone either, and many of you guys have experienced the same thing. Now, before I share with you what to do best in such situation as a guy who is losing hair and who is being, like, worst case, laughed at from his parents, this video has been brought to you by GoFiber, which are hair building fibers you can use to mask any thinning, any patchy areas on your scalp to make your hair look thicker and better. So make sure you check out the link in the video description below where you can visit GoFiber, get a free sample of your choice from them and try them out. It's just starting, so I'm the only one who notices it. I still even get compliments about my hair, but I know I'm losing it. So my mom says I'm overreacting and laughs about it. She makes jokes about me losing my hair, thinking it's not happening. He just sees I still have hair, so for her, I'm not losing it. My dad isn't bald either, so he thinks the same. They say I'm crazy. I went to 2 derms, paid by myself and secretly because they said I wasn't losing my hair, so it wasn't necessary. One day I combed my hair in front of my mom and I lost about 300 hairs in that moment. Okay, that's a lot for one moment. He said it's normal and that everyone's hair falls out and that it will regrow. I don't even know why I'm writing this, but it just pisses me off how someone that should be helping me with those things is destroying me mentally. Yes, I went to therapy. It just makes it more difficult. So first of all, it's a tough situation to be in because your family is your support. They should support you no matter whether the hair loss that you're experiencing is male pattern baldness or if just maybe a very temporary hair loss from temporary shedding, like short-term telogen effluvium, which may be oftentimes even self-correcting. Doesn't really matter, but you come there as a member of the family and you want support because you're losing your hair and you don't know whether that hair loss is permanent or temporary, but it doesn't matter because it's the same shock to your body. Your body doesn't know if it's temporary or permanent. In fact, the unknowingness, it's so stressful, and you come to your parents because you want to know what is going on and you want some help, you want some support at least. Even if they don't know how to solve your problem, they should even advise you somebody who is an expert in this field, somebody like dermatologist, somebody like hair transplant doctor who can take a look at your scalp. But in this case, they didn't. They just laugh at him. They say to him like, no, you're not losing hair. You're just overreacting despite losing a couple hundreds of hairs in a one short moment when he combed his hair. There is another guy who also commented, I know that feeling. I have DUPA, diffuse unpatterned alopecia, and I have had to watch 65% of my hair to fall out over the last year and still be told, listen to that, still be told by my parents that I'm crazy for spending so much money trying to stop it and that my hairline looks fine no matter how many times I explain that the hairline won't move and that I am very clearly losing my hair. So again, this is not just one guy, it's really happening. It happened to me. If you take a look at this photo here, I was like 17, 18, and it started going like this, the corners. By the age of 21 on this photo, you can see that the corners are already going even further. The hairline starts to lose the definition, and I already kept the hair shorter here. And believe me, by this time, my mom still was like, no, son, the hair is okay, just grow it longer, it's better. But she wasn't offering any solutions for this. She didn't know, obviously, but one thing is really weird. She kind of of makes you believe that you are not losing your hair. They want to make you like, what, crazy? Like, you obviously see that you're losing the hair, and they're like, no, you're not losing your hair. Don't get crazy. Don't get so obsessed about it. But typical women, not very solution oriented. Don't expect such type of advice from them. You know, sometimes you have to also learn not to expect advice from your parents. Sometimes it's really better to do your research on your own. You have YouTube, you have Reddit, you have so many different communities online with people who are far more experienced with dealing with this shit, unlike your parents, who had never had, you know, any issues with hair loss, or maybe they had, but they never wanted to solve it, or they just, you know, tried, like, or they just went like silent about it, and they never talked to anybody about it, and they tried to, you know, lure you into the same way of dealing with it. I don't know. Anyways, so let's see what this guy actually commented in the Reddit post to find out what was going on. So it's really hard for people to tell unless you are already a bit deep into it. Why didn't you write what your two dermatologists told you? So this guy is saying, because they both were two complete idiots. One said it could be male pattern baldness, but he wasn't sure and prescribed me finasteride, but only for 6 months. The other one didn't know anything about hair loss and said it was due to my severe seborrheic dermatitis, which is destroying my hair too. But I shed miniaturized hairs and my dad's brothers are bald, so I'm 100% sure I'm losing hair. So see, here already one dermatologist is confirming another diagnosis, which is seborrheic dermatitis, which can on itself contribute to your hair loss because it means inflammation of your hair follicles, and you can see it with a microscope, with a dermoscope. If the dermatologist does use it in his practice, he can find out pretty quickly that you have seborrheic dermatitis, which can be treated with ketoconazole shampoo, for example, and you can also use ketoconazole shampoo 1% like all year round to prevent seborrheic dermatitis from happening in the first place. You can also do that. So you see, he has seborrheic dermatitis, but also on top of that, he likely will have male pattern baldness because the first dermatologist prescribed him finasteride, and that's the only reason why he, you know, decided to prescribe it to him. He prescribed me finasteride for 6 months. I need a prescription here, and then said I had to stop it for other 6 months and then come back a year later to see how it has progressed. I paid €100 and he wasn't even able to make me a lifelong prescription of finasteride, which is what everyone does. Once you start finasteride, you will just continue with that. I don't know anybody who just gets on finasteride for half a year or even a year or 2-3 years and then just stops because, like, yeah, finasteride cured my hair loss, you know, it's now, you know, it's gonna work forever even if I stop. No, it's not. I don't know why the doctor did not give him prescription for another 6 months. It just doesn't make sense to me. Why would you put him on finasteride for 6 months and then made him stop taking finasteride for another 6 months and then check his hair after 12 months? Obviously, it's gonna get worse during the second half of the year when the patient is not gonna be on finasteride. It just doesn't make sense to me what this doctor or dermatologist did. The guy is advising him finasteride plus nizoral, which is actually good. As I said, nizoral contains 2% ketoconazole, and this can help with the seborrheic dermatitis, for example, and also has some additional DHT blocking properties, which can help with the male pattern baldness, although I wouldn't rely on it. That's why finasteride is a must-have in here. So what he said further, I have been on finasteride for a year and it has done nothing. I don't know if I should go for dutasteride or keep waiting. Okay, he also advised him minoxidil to add it into his regimen, which is actually a good thing. And he replied back, I can't use minoxidil as I am diagnosed with severe seborrheic dermatitis and it could worsen it. In such case, I would try the propylene glycol free version of minoxidil. It could help. I'm not saying it's gonna be a final help to seborrheic dermatitis, but I'm sure it's gonna be better than the propylene glycol than the propylene glycol version with minoxidil. It's obviously gonna worsen dermatitis, so try that. So here he's saying that already tried ketoconazole for a lot of months with no results. Well, if the seborrheic dermatitis is really severe, it's recommended to use ketoconazole shampoo like Nizoral even every single day, especially during the first weeks of the treatment, and then do like once or twice a week application. And if this still is not working, it just means that, well, what seborrheic dermatitis is, there is an excessive amounts of sebum which are being produced in your skin. And for this sebum to be produced, we know that there needs to be activity or enhanced activity of 5-alpha reductase, especially the type 1 5-alpha reductase has been shown to exhibit regional differences in isolated sebaceous glands and whole skin. It means that likely things like, inhibitors of 5-alpha reductase type 1 could be a good helpers here, like dutasteride. We know that finasteride is not able to inhibit type 1 5-alpha reductase as great, or not at all almost, unlike dutasteride. So I think one guy suggested him to do dutasteride earlier here. I don't know where it was, but maybe dutasteride actually could help this guy and could kill two things with one hit, okay, like seborrheic dermatitis and male pattern baldness. So maybe dutasteride wouldn't be a bad thing here. Just saying, I'm not a doctor, this is not a medical advice, it's just something that could make sense here. It started along with the male pattern baldness, so it's related. Certainly, I've been losing like 200 to 300 hairs the last year, and I have lost general density, not really noticeable, luckily. Well, that means that this guy is probably diffuse thinner. If you don't notice that, if people around you don't really notice it, it's probably because your hairline is more or less still the same. Maybe you progressed from Norwood 1 to Norwood 2, which most of the people honestly won't really notice, just you, and probably you just lost some density across the whole top because of the diffuse hair loss, and that's why that's the problem here. So this guy says, like, I think I will do hormonal test, which makes sense. Actually, chances are there could be also something like, hypo or hyperthyroidism detected, which could also mess with your hair loss or worsen your current diffuse hair loss, which if it will be just as a result of androgenetic alopecia, such diffuse hair loss could be easily treated with finasteride only, and you would have likely responded to it already. But if you still experience diffuse hair loss despite using finasteride ketoconazole shampoo, then it means that you are probably very aggressive thinner, or you need something else which you need to treat besides the androgenetic alopecia. Maybe again underlying thyroid issue, maybe vitamin mineral deficiencies which are ongoing, like very low, like you are chronically depleted off of zinc or iron, because these things have been also linked to long-term shedding, long-term effluvium in men and women. Again, poor protein intake, essential fatty acid deficiencies, high copper levels from tap water, for example. But these are just small things which are not that likely, in my opinion, but you can check it in your full blood panel, or you can check your hormones as you are already here kind of thinking of doing. Comment below, guys, if this is something that ever happened to you as well. Your parents, as far as your parents not being like super supportive, or not listening to you about your hair loss issues, and how you were able to solve it. Did you go about it the same way as this guy? You visited a dermatologist, you got in touch with some expert who helped you, or did you just go online like YouTube, Reddit, Facebook groups, and found somebody who helped you with your issues? So let me know in the comments. I'm sure there are going to be guys with this issue as well, who were young and didn't get enough support from their parents, because again, maybe the parents weren't able to solve this problem themselves when they were young, and thus kind of transferred the same passivity onto you, like no worry, it's nothing, nothing's gonna happen. But in reality you see that you are losing that hair and things are getting worse, in fact week by week or month by month. Okay, so that was it on topic of this video, everybody. If you liked it, obviously like the video, subscribe to my channel, because it's a hair loss and hair transplant related channel where I talk about these topics all year round. If you are new, visit my free Facebook group, Hair Transplant Experiences, with over 2,700 members in the group. And you know that hair transplants are usually the next step when somebody's trying to save his hair, and with the time the treatment maybe is not working well, or you started with the treatment way too late and the hair transplant is in fact necessary. So make sure you check out the Facebook group, make sure you check out MattDominance.com, which is my website where you can inform yourself on how to get the hair transplant the right way, how to maximize the success of your hair transplant in Turkey. And you can also sign up for a one-on-one call with me where I can directly help you and assist you throughout your hair loss struggles as well as your hair transplant research. So that was it pretty much. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you in another video. Take care. Do you want to have less stress and more success with your hair transplant like many of my clients before you already? Then make sure you apply for this one single call, very important call, which can help you minimize all the possible mistakes you could do throughout your hair transplant research. A call with an expert in this field which can help you maximize the chance of you ending up with a successful hair transplant. If you like that, make sure you swipe up right now and get on a one-on-one call with me.